It's Semifinal Friday at the 2020 Great Northwest Men's and Women's Basketball Championships from here at Seattle Pacific University. We had 4 great games yesterday, and we're expecting 4 more great games here today. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Robert Lowry, along with Dustin Daniel from Brougham Pavilion on the campus of SPU for the 2020 GNAC Championships. And today's first men's game is featuring the number 6 seed and maybe the surprising team from yesterday's first round quarterfinal action, the University of Alaska Fairbanks Nanooks. They came back late against Western Oregon, and as you can see right there, they got the victory to advance to today's contest against Western Washington University behind the tournament scoring record yesterday set by Shadid Shabazz. 43 points, third time this year that he has scored 43 points in a game. But interestingly enough, he fouled out with just more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 1 second left. The score was tied at that point, and you can see Shabazz right there with one of the 4 steals he had in the contest, which also ties a GNAC record. But he was Sweet with a big 3, and Huerta with a bucket as well down the stretch as they went on a 7-point run. They scored 7 in the final 2 minutes without Shabazz, and because of that, they were able to come away with a victory.
It was a great team effort in those last couple of minutes of play for Alaska Fairbanks to be able to get themselves into the semifinals. This is a team that's been outsized all season. Now, Western Oregon, not a terribly big team, but they did have the size advantage. Fairbanks able to figure out a way to get past that, really relied on Shabazz. And we talked about he fouled out with 2 minutes left. He had more in the tank offensively. He probably would have had a couple more buckets given the situation there down the stretch. So he does set a GNAC record, possibly could have gone for more had it not been for the 5 fouls. Going to be a big matchup here today with Western Washington, however. Size is going to be even bigger in this one.
Well, let me ask you this question, though. If you're a Nanook fan or one of the Nanook players for that matter, without your best player, and I don't think there's any question about that, and I think the team understands that, without your best player taking on the 3rd-seeded Wolves yesterday with 2 minutes left in the game, to be able to seal the deal without your top scorer, that's got to give this team a little bit of confidence going into today's game against Western Washington University, I would think.
Oh, of course, of course. They know now, if they didn't know already, that they have the pieces without Shadid. They know that they can step up, rise to the occasion. We talked with Greg Sparling after the game, and he had confidence in his team. His bench is starting for outside of Shabazz, that they would be able to step up and be able to take care of business. Now, having Shabazz is a great offensive tool, but there are pieces around him that are going to be able to help out if they go to that double team defense, triple team defense like we saw yesterday. They're going to be able to swing it to other guys and be able to score from the perimeter.
Now, they're going up against a Western Washington University team that comes in seeded second here in the GNAC behind top-seeded Seattle Pacific University. And interestingly enough, when you talk about Seattle Pacific, the home team here for this year's championship, there's only 2 teams in the GNAC this year that beat them in the GNAC conference play. Those 2 teams, Western Washington, Alaska Fairbanks. And interestingly enough as well, these 2 teams split the regular season series. And in the game up in Bellingham, it was the Nanooks getting the win. And in that victory, it was Nanooks head coach Greg Sparling's 400th career victory. So there's a lot of kind of side plots to this game here today. But all we know is that 40 minutes from now, one of these 2 teams is going to advance to the GNAC Championships tomorrow night right here in Royal Brougham Pavilion. Will it be the Vikings? Will it be the Nanooks? Well, we'll know after this first semifinal game here today at Royal Brougham Pavilion, and we're certainly just delighted to have you joining us today for it right here on GNAC.TV. We'll come back. We'll have more of our pregame report. Dustin and Robert Lowry here from Brougham Pavilion on GNAC.TV. Welcome back to Brougham Pavilion. Robert Lowry, Dustin Daniel. You know, after yesterday's first round men's quarterfinal action when the number 6 and number 5 seeds, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, who we'll see in action here, they're warming up on your screen there to the left, takes on Western Washington University. And then at 2:15 today, when the University of Alaska Anchorage, which advanced with a victory yesterday as well, takes on the top-seeded Falcons of Seattle Pacific, I thought to myself, I've been doing this tournament for a long time now, but I can't remember the last time that the 2 lowest-seeded teams advanced from the quarterfinals. Well, I go into the record book. It happens all the time. It happens. Matter of fact, the first time there was ever a tournament, a GNAC tournament, this goes back to 2012, when there was a specific site. And before that, they played on campus sites and things like that. But when they played in 2012, and it was at St. Martin's down there at Marcus Pavilion, in the quarterfinals, number 6 Central Washington, coached by Greg Sparling at that point, took on number 3 Seattle Pacific and won 70-69 to advance. Number 5 Montana State Billings knocked off Western Oregon, number 4 80-75 to advance. And not only did Montana State Billings advance to the semis, they went all the way on to the championship that year from the 5th seed. Also, the 6th seed has advanced in this tournament in 2013. Number 5 seed has advanced in 2014 out of the quarterfinals. 2015, same story. Number 6, Northwest Nazarene knocked off then number 3 Central Washington, coached by Greg Sparling, 79-73. And number 5 Western Washington knocked off Alaska Anchorage that year. 2016, the 6th seeded Western Washington Vikings, who we're seeing here today, they moved on as well. 2017, things ran true to form for the most part, and that's been pretty much the case since then. But in the earlier years of this tournament, having teams from the 5th and 6th seeded positions advance at least to the semis, and again, in the case of Montana State Billings beyond that, that's not much of a surprise at all.
Well, you wonder how much it speaks to how valuable that first game is and being able to not necessarily shake the rust off because these teams were playing last week, but have one already under your belts, because the fatigue's not necessarily showing here on day 2 of the GNAC Championships. Come day 3, when we're playing 3 days straight, having that bye is going to make a little bit more of a difference. But the Nanooks, they've been able to get acclimated to this court already. Mm-hmm. Western Washington, this isn't their home court. They've only played here once this year. Now, some of these players have played here quite a few times during their collegiate careers, but they're just not used to it yet, haven't had a chance to shoot around here a ton. For example, yesterday, since we had all these games, they were practicing in the lower gyms, so they don't have exactly the same feel. So there is something to be said for having a game already in. Now, for Alaska, when they're having guys play 35-plus minutes, that's not necessarily the greatest thing for fatigue on day 2. But having a game here already is a big difference, and I guess it shows in the numbers as we've seen some of these lower teams beat those teams that had the bye in day 1 come semifinal time.
Developing story from here at Brougham Pavilion today. All-league performer Jalen Green for Western Washington. He will be out of action today. All-conference selection, 6'7" sophomore out of Lindbergh High School, just down the road a bit in Renton. He has a hurt wrist. He's out with his team. He warmed up and practiced out there today, but he's wearing a heavy wrap around that wrist, that right wrist, and because of that, he'll be out of action today. We asked some of the Western Washington University folks if he's going to be able to play, and there's a good look at him right there. They said, well, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the regionals, but right now they just don't know, and that takes 13 points out of their starting lineup here today. Tough break for Western Washington University. Now starting lineups for today's contest. First of all, for the lower-seeded team, the visitors on the scoreboard, Alaska Nanooks. And Spencer Sweet is introduced first there, 6'2" senior out of Longview, Washington. There's a good look at Spencer. And this is Quinn Doherty, 6'2" senior out of Homer, Alaska. In the pivot, 6'11" freshman Mowich Kachajani right there. 6'1" junior guard Shadid Shabazz introduced now. Shabazz with 42 points, the record in the conference tournament yesterday. And the 5th starter, the guy who hit the last basket, the ceiling bucket yesterday for the Nanooks. And right there you get a good look at Kobe Huerta, 5'9" junior from Covington here in Washington. Head coach of the Nanooks, Greg Sparling. We'll talk about his record here in just a moment. First of all, here are the Western Washington University starters. That's Trevor Jasinski, all-league selection, 6'8" senior out of Camas. Cameron Rutherford, who is in the starting lineup today in place of Green, 6'9" senior from Portland, Oregon. The big guy in the middle, one of the nation's leading shot blockers, is Logan Schilder, 7' senior from Bellingham, played at Whatcom Community College. In the backcourt, a couple of solid players. That was D'Angelo Minnis, 5'10", redshirt freshman. Interestingly enough, he too is from Covington, which is the same place where Huerta prepped, and Sion Rojas also being introduced, 6'6" senior from Concord, California. Tony Dominguez, the head coach of Western Washington University, the 2017 Great Northwest Athletic Conference Coach of the Year, in his 8th campaign, but he was a long-time assistant to Brad Jackson up there at Western Washington. Dominguez in his 8th campaign, 166 wins, 76 defeats. He, of course, was on the coaching staff when these Vikings won the 2012 Division II National Championship. Greg Sparling, second year for Alaska Nanooks, 17-39 there, but in his 26th year as head coach, 403 wins, 293 losses. It is Schilder in the middle, and Koch Johnny. And Koch Johnny wins the tip, and the Nanooks will have the basketball to begin the contest. And Huerta, who did a real nice job yesterday, he begins the contest against what looks to be, well, they're going to go man-to-man. The Vikings look like they were going to go zone to begin. I was a little bit surprised by that, and they're not going to, certainly. Here's Huerta. Boy, big size matchup on the perimeter. As coming out on him as Rojas, who has about a 7-inch size advantage.
Well, as you look up and down these two rosters, one of the things to watch will be the height and how it affects the rebounding in this game.
First shot missed by Shabazz, and Schilder, or actually Jasinski, came down with the rebound. He'll get the pitch back out, and across the top goes to the little point guard, Minnis. Minnis guarded by Huerta. Again, both Covington, Washington products. Dish down low, and boy, nice overplay by Sweet. Wasn't able to come up with the steal on Jasinski, who steps back, shoots in the corner, and hits.
Very tough shot. Can't really defend that one. That's just a great shot by Trevor Jasinski.
Well, Jasinski, all-league selection. He was the preseason player of the year. The player of the year handling the basketball right now, though. That's Shadid Shabazz. Picks up the dribble and gets it to Huerta. And again, big size advantage pretty much at every slot, with the exception right here of the smaller Minnis taking on Shabazz. And here is Shadid going to go to work. A little floater on the right side, came up short. Schilder, quick pitch out to Jasinski. Takes up the right side of the floor, leaves behind it for Minnis, launches the three and hits.
Quick start for the Vikings as they get it from the outside on both of their opening shots. Haven't seen a touch yet from Schilder on the inside, but with Koch Johnny on the floor, I'm not sure they're going to go after that matchup.
Schilder had one double-digit scoring game this year. Here's a 360 spin on the baseline, but Sweet not able to come up with a rebound, and the Vikings, and Rojas comes down with it. Boy, it's nice to have a guard at 6'6", like the size of Rojas. He can go in and get the rebounds as well. Here's Minnis, weaves, gets it down low, and boy, nice draw and dish, and Rutherford is there for the two-hand set down, and it's a 7-0 Vikings lead right out of the gate. Second-seeded Western Washington looking to advance to the championship here tomorrow night. But as we saw yesterday, this Nanooks team certainly capable of coming back from leads, even double-digit deficits. Huerta in the corner, takes the end line, and he is bumped and fouled. That's going to be the first foul of the night, or the afternoon, I guess we should say, as it's just after noon. Matter of fact, just a couple of minutes after noon. And the foul on Rojas is his first. You can see it right here. Or actually, that's the last play to Rutherford. Man, oh man. Great draw, great dish, and bucket. Now here is Shabazz. Goes inside. He gets knocked around a bit, and he is fouled. Should mention who the officials are today. Good veteran crew, Doug Sturdivant, Toby Doolittle, and Justin Shamian. Had a chance to talk a little bit to Stu Gorski. First free throw by Shabazz is good. About the officials here, and this is certainly a veteran and a very good crew. Southpaw shoots a second and hits a two, so well, it won't be a scoreless game for the Nanooks now, and I can tell you one thing, Shabazz will have more than two by the end of this contest today. Rojas down floor, guarded by Shabazz. Goes to Schilder out high. Dish down low to Rutherford, lost it, pitches it back in, manages to get it into Minnis in the corner. That was a nice job by Rutherford there, and now a foul on the baseline as Minnis was fouled by Huerta. Non-shooting foul. Each team now, actually, Western has two fouls and one on the Nanooks. Inbounds Rutherford on the angle to Jasinski. He's going to take the long three and hit it. Wow. That is a tremendous shot, and, well, quickly the Nanooks decide to call a timeout, I believe. Is that the case or not? No, they're just going to make a substitution quickly, will the University of Alaska Fairbanks, as Markel Banks, 6'4" junior out of Kent, comes in. And taking a breather is going to be Quinn Doherty.
Yeah, there's a quick stoppage of play to get the net reset. That was in the Fairbanks. Use the opportunity to get in another sub. Those two fouls that we saw just a minute ago, it's establishing early on these officials are not going to let them body when a player's running the baseline. It's both times that's happened now. We've seen a foul called on the defense.
Huerta gets loose, shoots on the baseline, rims it in and out. And Jasinski comes down with the rebound. Banks has him defensively. To Schilder, hand off to Minnis. That's another deep three. This one's off the rim. And Kachijani comes down with the rebound. And out of backcourt quickly on the fly, it is Shabazz. Good dish down low. Not handling it cleanly, though, is Banks. Now he gets it. Circles back underneath the hoop, and a 7-foot Schilder on him, so he can't get a shot away. Nice job by the Vikings there not to give up something cheap on the baseline. And here is Shabazz. Actually, Schilder got a hand on it. Pass inside, and the ball knocked away from Kachijani. Rutherford with the steal, and down floor is Rojas, far side. Head of the key, Rutherford. They work it from the left to the right side, and going inside Jasinski. Pitch it out for Rojas' three. Comes up short, and Kachijani goes way up and comes down with a rebound for the Nanuks. Fast-paced game here is Shadid Shabazz. Triple Crown winner, as they say. Player of the year, newcomer of the year, first team all GNAC selection, and record setter here in the tournament. Shooting a fall-away three. It's good! He'll count, and he got fouled. Boy, oh boy. Talk about elevating quickly. Goes to the free throw line for the opportunity for a 4-point play. But before he has the opportunity to shoot free throws, and there is the step back three and the foul on Minnis. But before he goes to the free throw line, we have our first timeout here today. It's a good one going on right now. Western 10, University of Alaska Fairbanks 5, first men's semifinal at this year's 2020 Great Northwest Athletic Conference Men's Basketball Championships. Welcome back to Brougham Pavilion. And here is the first basket of the contest here today. You talked about that. How do you stop that shot by Jasinski? You can't.
There's no defense to that. That fadeaway jumper with the height that Jasinski has, unless you're an extremely athletic 7'2" center, no one's getting to that. And that's something they're going to utilize today. As you look up and down these rosters, now we're not going to see Jalen Green, who factors into this, but Alaska only has 2 players that are 6'5" or taller. Western Washington has 7.
Yeah, there's no question that Western has an enormous size advantage here today, but Jasinski's going to pepper away from the perimeter. And he knocks down another 3 from long range, and he's showing why he was an all-conference selection this year. Great player. Matter of fact, great in the classroom as well. We'll talk more about that, too. Huerta, mid-floor. Huerta setting up the offense. Alaska being a little more deliberate. They get it to Banks. Hand off to Huerta coming around the outside. Lift fake. Going to move to the head of the key. Pass right. Sweet 3. Good.
Much needed for the Nanooks, trying to establish some game on the outside, stretch the defense a little bit. They were jammed up inside. They didn't have a lot of shots from the paint.
Well, remember, Sweet hit that big 3 down the stretch yesterday, too. Vikings work it across the perimeter, and a fallback 3 missed. Western new player in. That is R.J. Seacrest, another all-academic GNAC performer, and the ball knocked out of bounds on the end line. It'll stay Nanuks basketball. Western also going to make a change. Matter of fact, both teams making changes. For Western off the bench, Luke Lovelady, 6'8" junior from Tacoma. And coming in for the Nanuks, Marcus Lee, 5'10" freshman out of Ketchikan, and he's the guy with the ball right there. Lee giving Huerta a bit of a blow. Also in and handling the basketball, Alex Summerfield, who played well yesterday as well. Had a couple of big shots. And here is Shabazz, goes inside, ball stripped away. Again, a lot of contact there, no foul. Quickly the other way, Rojas leaves to left, his left, and, well, Jasinski wasn't ready for that. That was a little bit of a flip pass. It caught Jasinski a little bit off guard, and it went off his fingertips out of bounds.
Yeah, Jasinski motioning over to Sion Rojas, saying that was my bad. I should have had that one. Pretty quick pass over, and they were in close proximity, but Trevor does need to pull that one in. He's got 8 points already, only averaging 14 on the season. This is after he averaged more than 19 as a junior. That's why he got picked as a preseason conference player of the year, knowing that he had that capability of going for big numbers. Doesn't need to this year.
No.
They can spread it out so much.
Well, and here is a 3 by Sweet air ball. Maybe Jasinski might have got a little bit of a piece of that as Rojas now into the forecourt. Some fancy dribbling. Goes off right. Gets a return pass from Seacrest. Rojas around the screen, going to take it inside. Powers it up and in. Well, again, he's a big-bodied young man, is Rojas. He's a strong young man, and he goes inside and makes it a 15-9 lead. 6'6". They have him listed at 200 pounds, and I'll tell you one thing, that's 200 pounds of muscle on that young man.
Well, this Vikings team was here watching the Western Oregon UAF matchup yesterday. So if they learned anything from Thursday's comeback win, that this 6-point lead should not have them feeling comfortable at all.
Summerfield spins, shoots, and way off line, but there's a putback on the inside. And boy, look who sneaks in among the tall timber on the inside. Marcus Lee at just 5'10" with the putback, and it's a 4-point contest. Well, I think for the Nanoks, quite frankly, if they just hang around, and here's Rojas with near, and he goes over and back. Boy, they're going to say the ball was tipped away, but that's a great break for the Vikings right there.
It looked like it might have cut off of his leg.
You think so?
Didn't look like it was off of a hand, but from that angle on the other side, tough to say.
Big, strong move on the inside by Lovelady. Again, one of those big Western players, as you mentioned. They've got size to spare on this team. Banks off near side to Sweet, guarded by Jasinski. They'll get it back out to Lee, quarterback and far side of the floor to Banks. Markell going to cross over, go behind the back, dribble, little stutter step, floater on the right side. It's going to bounce off the rim. Rojas comes down with yet another rebound. Sion down floor, baseballs it up ahead. Lovelady goes inside, puts it up in traffic, kind of an awkward shot. Rebounding play, 2 players got tangled up on it. Lovelady going after his own miss, and one of the Nanoks players, I think it was Banks, and I'm not sure it's going to be a held ball. No, it's going to be a foul. The foul going to be called against the Nanoks, Markell Banks. So it'll be Vikings basketball, but not before we have this timeout. 11:40 left to go in this opening half of play here at the 2020 GNAC Men's Basketball Championships. I'm Robert Lowry, Dustin Daniel alongside. You're a left-hander.
Yes,
I just noticed that right now. I don't know why I didn't notice that before. A left-hander. That's good. We'll bring you out of the bullpen. 11:40 to go. It's a 6-point Vikings lead. And the reason I bring that up, we've got a great left-hander in the play of Shadid Shabazz. And we've had a lot of really standout lefties playing in this tournament this year.
Yes, we have. It offers a different look. As a defender, you have to switch up your play just a little bit, allowing a guy to drive to the opposite side. The offhand going up for defense. It's an odd thing to see if you're not used to it.
Rebound by Summerfield off the miss by Seacrest. He had a good look there at head coach Greg Sparling of the Nanoks a moment ago. Shabazz, Summerfield, boy, oh boy, he was lucky to get the ball away there and not come up with a travel situation as he got in the air and then kind of had to get the ball off awkwardly. And fortunately, Lee was Johnny on the spot as he is right there. In for Western now, Leif Anderson on the defense against Lee, and he knocks the ball away, and it's going to be a shot clock violation. First one of the day. Only had 2 all day yesterday. And you can see right there, lift fake, but boy, I tell you, that's good defensive play by Anderson. Another Bellingham product. You know, this Western team has historically had players from the northwestern portion of the state stay at home and play collegiate basketball there for a storied program, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's a very easy sell trying to get kids to come to Western Washington or stay home.
There is Seacrest out of Silverdale. He knocks down the jumper, and it's an 8-point lead as we're approaching the halfway point in half number 1.
Now, the university showed great commitment to the athletics program, putting all of that money into Carver Gym. Yep. Some great facilities up there, and just a great town to be in.
Here is Shabazz. Shadid has a screen. And a reach-in foul going to be called. And much to the dismay of the Western Washington University bench. Also in playing now for the Nanook, setting the screen that time. It was, and here's a good look at the situation there is Shabazz. Well, reach-in foul is what they say. Off the bench, Keyshawn Howard is in as well now, and he's going to make the throwing. There's a good look at Howard making the throwing, the 10 on the back. And he's going to be guarded on the inbounds by the much taller Rutherford at 6'9". Into Summerfield. And back off to Howard. Nice spin move inside, but then misses the shot a little bit off the back of the rim. And down floor, Seacrest, basketball. Out left. And Jasinski works it to Rutherford. He said, let me try a three. And he airmails it, well, almost out of bounds. But once again, there is Leif Anderson to save the possession for the Vikings. This is a senior out of Bellingham, and he's playing like a senior out there. He's playing very hitty basketball.
Yeah, it was very heads-up play. And he's had a couple on these last two trips down the floor. Saw the defender coming with him, and if you're the Nanooks, you got to stay out of the way on that one. It's going out of bounds. Anderson's going out with it. Best thing you can do is just stay there and hope that he tosses it to you.
Change is made. Zach Hatch, who was in momentarily for the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And here is a quick three off the inbounds, missing it. And Koch Johnny came back in as Schilder returned for Western Washington. So the two big men back in there. Here is Shabazz, floater in the lane, good. So Shadid Shabazz, again, 40. It was 43 yesterday, right?
It was 42.
42 yesterday in the victory. Driving inside, and there's going to be a tripping foul. That could be on Shabazz, who fouled out in that contest. Otherwise, he probably would have played all 40 minutes. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
Sion Rojas is going to come back in. And Jasinski going to take a seat on the bench. Gets a bit of a blow, and he's playing well out there, certainly. Shabazz last time, penetration, puts it up, and you can see there's the result. Schilder on the perimeter. Hand off to Anderson, head of the key, off right. Rojas down low. Schilder going to go to work on Kachijani. Double team comes, but he spins away from it and lays it in. That was a very impressive move by the big fella.
For Logan Schilder's size, 7 foot, to be able to move like that, if he wants to take advantage of that matchup with Koch Johnny, I mean, it's not much of one size-wise, but he was able to take him to the post pretty easily on that play.
Well, and also some experience there against the freshman. And there's a kicked ball. Koch Johnny is just a freshman, and you look at Schilder, well, he's a senior, so not only does he have experience on his side, he's also playing with some other big fellas up front as well to help him in that regard. Inbounds Howard. And the Nanooks will work it back out to Huerta, who has returned. Shabazz splits a double team, goes inside on Schilder and lays it in. Oh, baby. Man, oh, man, look at him get back down floor quickly to D up on Seacrest, who makes a nice penetration, lost the basketball. Get it out to Rojas, return it to Seacrest. He was looking down low to Schilder, who was open for a minute, actually had Huerta on him, the much smaller Huerta, but Rojas just goes inside and scores it once again. That's the second time we've seen him go inside and use that right hand on the layup, getting inside the defense. Kind of using the rim there to help protect as well.
Well, for a lot of teams in this conference, Sion Rojas would be playing the four. The fact that they're able to stretch him out and have him as a swing man, it's a big weapon.
Howard gets it off to Kachijani, who lays it up and in on the pass. And so Mowich comes down with his first bucket of the game at the 8:02 mark now. And a foul called against the Nanooks. That is going to be their fourth. Summerfield whistled for that foul. That's just his first, though. With the ball out of bounds. Schilder gets in the deep left corner. He's probably not going to shoot a three often. And here is Rojas. Goes inside, ball knocked away by Howard. Scramble for it, and he's going to bring it down floor. 2-on-2. He'll take it all the way himself, lay it up and in. Schilder this year, just to finish that thought, he has taken 37 threes, so he's not averse to doing it. He maybe once or twice a game. Anderson around a Schilder screen. Leif, near side, Rojas, three, back rim, and Johnny is able to box out and secure the rebound. And then, I'll tell you one thing, Shabazz, I think, got somebody who came down on his left shoulder. So there's going to be a timeout on the floor, and Spencer Sweet is going to check in, and there'll be a little bit of attention applied to Shadid Shabazz. And we have a timeout here on the floor, so let's go ahead and step aside for just a minute. As you can see, 7:17 left in this first semifinal game today here at the 2020 GNAC Championships between Western Washington and the University of Alaska Fairbanks, with the Vikings leading it, but only by 4. Well, you might be able to see what happens here. There's Shadid Shabazz. He went shoulder to shoulder right there with Seacrest, first of all. And then on the rebounding play, you can see Johnny, and apparently that's what happened. So right now, Shabazz on the bench. Summerfield, Huerta, down low to Johnny. Look at him turn and shoot, and shoots the air ball from the baseline. About a 14-footer there, but shot it a little bit too strong. Rojas, who's played very well for the Vikings in the first nearly 14 minutes of this game. Schilder working the perimeter. Down low, Jasinski. Howard on him defensively. Powers it up inside, misses it. And Johnny is able to get yet another rebound. Huerta into the forecourt. Right to left across the top of the key. Tried to bounce past on the end line to Howard and wasn't able to do so for the turnover. So the Nanuks right now with Huerta, Sweet, Howard, Summerfield, and Johnny. It is Rojas, Jasinski, Schilder. Anderson stays on floor. And also out there, Lovelady, who gets the ball right there in the paint. Step inside, lay it up, and missed it off right. He thinks he maybe got a little bit of contact there, but ball just went up, got the right side of the rim, and just rolled off.
Yeah, second time that Lovelady's been right around the iron, hasn't been able to finish. It's worth noting that before Shabazz exited this game, he broke the GNAC single-season scoring record, previously held by Andy Avgi of Western Oregon. Shabazz came into the game 769 total points scored on the season. Avgi was at 770, so now the new record holder for a single season in scoring.
Bucket cuts it to a 2-point contest. And again, Shabazz back next year as well. Here's a penetration on the baseline. Anderson kick it cross court. Well, there's a nice looking three. Boy, does Jasinski just have really just a smooth 3-point stroke?
Yeah, and it's looked like that for the last couple of years. That's not a new development for him. Back when he was a sophomore, you saw it, and you just wondered what was going to happen for him the next couple of seasons. It's been incredible to watch his growth.
So the bucket makes it a 26-21 contest, and we've come to a stoppage in play here at the 5:28 mark. It's going to be a 30-second timeout, so let's just keep things right here. And again, 5-point lead, 5:28 left to go. Western has the size. They've been shooting well from the perimeter, but you keep looking at the scoreboard and you think, this game is maybe tighter than what you would think at this point.
Well, we look at one specific stat in particular because we've been talking about size all day. Points in the paint. We thought that might be a big disparity in this one. 10 points aside underneath. And while, yes, Western Washington hitting some shots from the outside, they're 4 of 10, 40% from three-point range. But that's all been Trevor Jasinski. He's 3 of 4 from deep for his 11 points, mostly coming from the outside. Outside of Trevor Jasinski, no one's shooting particularly well from three-point range. And Alaska has limited their three-point tries. They've only taken 4 from the outside. They are actually trying to move inside on the bigger team. It's been interesting to see that as the tactic.
Well, the Nanuks down by 5. And here is Summerfield. Won't shoot. Get it off to Huerta. Baseline. Hook pass behind him to Summerfield. Lost it for a moment, but was able to pick it back up. Rutherford checked back in. And then Rutherford with a reach-in foul. That'll be the 5th on the Vikings. And here comes Shabazz back in after just a momentary couple of minutes on the bench. Howard back out. And returning as well for Western Washington, Seacrest.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more serious than that for Shadid Shabazz. The way he went down looked like it might be a dislocated shoulder.
Hook pass, Summerfield, out top, Huerta, kick it right, Sweet, 3, good. Well, just that easy for Spencer Sweet. And he's looking more for his shot, at least in the first half today, than he did yesterday. I don't think there's much question about that.
Got him back within 2. With the way this game started, that 7-0 run and then the 10-2 mark.
Yep.
Didn't think that the Nooks were going to be able to hang.
Jasinski, he is fouled on the shot. I think Sweet's the man who got him on the arm. That's indeed who it is. So Trevor Jasinski going to head to the free throw line now. And, well, shooting free throws is something he does so well. Averages 14.4 points a game. And at the free throw line, 91 of 113 on the year. And that's an 80% clip, nearly 81%. And with that one dropping down, it'll probably bump up statistically to 81. So one more to come. Jasinski also averages 5.5 rebounds. He had 80 assists on the year. Again, he's kind of a do-it-all guy, jack of all trades. Misses the second free throw, however, and Coach Johnny is there to clean the glass. So 3-point lead, and Shabazz with the basketball. Comes to the near side, pass out to Summerfield, return it to Shadid. Seacrest has him defensively. That's an unenviable assignment. Fall back, Shabazz misses it, rebound. Summerfield goes inside, a lot of contact, puts it up and in.
Yeah, we saw 4 very quick fouls in the opening couple of minutes. Since then, they're only at 5 team fouls aside, so they've really been letting them play as of late. Whistle's really slowed down after the opening of this game.
Seacrest with a long-range 3, and the rebound tipped out of bounds. Went off a Vikings player, and it'll be back to the Nanooks, and once again, timeout on the floor. Just 3:55 left to go in this opening half of play. It's number 6, University of Alaska Fairbanks Nanooks, and you can see Summerfield scoring the last bucket for the Nanooks. Western Washington leading it by 1. Back with more right here at Brougham Pavilion on GNAC.TV. Royal Brougham Pavilion, Seattle Pacific University, host site for this year's 2020 GNAC Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament. I'm Robert Lowry, and Dustin Daniel joining us this year. Glad to have you alongside, young man.
I'm very happy to be here, Rob. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year.
Oh, no question.
Loved being up in Bellingham last year. That was a great environment. This is no different.
Here's a steal. Seacrest behind the back to a man running the lane, and Rutherford is able to put it down with an impressive two-hand slam, and now a stoppage in play. And they're going to just warn Rojas. Apparently, Sihan bumped the ball, knocked the ball away as the Nanooks were looking to inbound it. Just a warning. And again, that's just something that happens in the heat of action. I don't think there was anything deliberate on that attempt there. And oh, look at the quick step over, fall away, and the shot no good. And rebounding foul on the inside. Coach Johnny was sandwiched between a couple of Vikings. And that'll be the 6th team foul on Western Washington. Foul called against the Vikings. Sion Rojas, his 2nd. Apparently he'll stay on the floor at least at this juncture. Inbounds, and Rojas tips it away. And a foul called on Sweet. Boy, Rojas made a great athletic play. Tipped the ball away. Sweet tried to recover it, and Rojas got bumped and knocked it down, and that'll be the 6th team foul now on the Nanooks.
I think we just saw a technical foul get rolled out on Sweet as well. The Nooks head coach Craig Sparling real heated about whatever happened.
You can see Greg Sparling questioning what the call was. I'll be honest with you, I did not see what happened. I saw Sweet make the attempt to get the ball back. I saw some of the Western coaching staff going for an intentional foul. I don't think it was intentional. I think he went after the ball.
No, it was the extracurriculars after it.
Yeah.
So when Rojas went sliding to the ground on the baseline, a couple of his teammates come to pick him up. Sweet was along the baseline as well. I think there might have been some chatter between the two of them, and I think that's what the technical foul is going to be about, because certainly there was no intent on the foul on the loose ball with Rojas and Sweet. So I think they'll be looking at after the play to see what the issue was.
Well, whatever the situation, as you mentioned, the officials are at the scorers table and they're looking at that. And again, if you're a college basketball player, even a high school basketball player, I guess the best advice that I think a coach could ever tell you is this: let me talk, you play.
Yeah.
And just keep it like that. There's nothing you need to say. There's really nothing you need to do. Basketball not a vocal game; it's a physical game.
Yeah. No, if Sparling's taking the heat as opposed to Sweet, it's a lot easier. He's able to control his motions a little bit better just because these guys are competing. They're a little bit more tense. So if you're an individual player on the floor, let your head coach take care of it. Don't go after it yourself. And I think that's why we see the results here, is because Sweet was trying to take care of it himself instead of letting Sparling get to it.
Doug Sturdivant, a veteran official, just came over and whispered in my ear that they're looking to see if there's any contact that happened after the play. That's what they're taking a look at right now to see if there's any more contact. And you can see right there the play once again. And now we're seeing after the play, Rojas goes down.
And this is where Sweet starts to get upset. Yeah.
And he
That's
and
right
Rutherford bump into. And that was just incidental contact there. And then some words were apparently exchanged between Sweet, it looks like, and D'Angelo Minnis. But, again, I'm not a lip reader, so I don't know what they said. They might have been just asking everybody how they're enjoying the tournament right there.
Well, when Rutherford comes in, he's making a beeline for Rojas. We do know that, but he had no intention of getting out of the way of Sweet, and I think Sweet had no intention of getting out of the way of Rutherford. So it's just a couple of bullheaded guys putting a little bit into each other. That's it. I don't think there's a need for a tech here unless they really want to control this game and keep the emotions low.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're 6'9", you're not going to be able to pirouette necessarily out of the way because Rutherford is a big gentleman right there, and he had full speed. He was full speed ahead. He had the props going full speed as he headed down floor there, and so there's some of the Western faithful who are here today at Brougham Pavilion. I'll tell you, we've had some decent crowds. I don't think there's any question, especially for the afternoon side. And really, this is a prime time. Lunch hour.
Yeah.
If you work here in the area, and there's certainly a lot of businesses around at Royal Brougham Pavilion, sure, why not? Cut out of work for an hour or whatever and come over and watch a little high-level basketball. Greg Sparling and his assistant Jesse Brown there conversing. And you can see there some of the Alaska fans who have made the trek down.
Well, the officials have seen what they needed to see on the tape. Now they're going to discuss it, see if there is going to be a technical foul here. Looks like a couple of SPU fans. Very excited to see what the attendance is going to be like for that next semifinal coming up, and we have SPU actually in action.
Against the University of Alaska Anchorage. That's going to be a 2:15 tip today. And then, of course, we have women's semifinal action coming up tonight. And, well, we'll talk more about that later. I wanted to talk a little bit about Jasinski. He and a guy we're going to see in Game 2 this afternoon, Jack McDonald, have been named to the College Sports Information Directors of America Division II All-District 8 Academic Basketball Team. And that is just exactly what GPA as a marketing major, and McDonald, who we'll see in the second game, a 3.73 GPA as an accounting major. You just had a chance to talk with my friend Doug Sturdivant. What did he tell you?
So what we're going to have the common foul still going on Sweet.
Sure.
And then after the play, there's going to be a double technical. So Rutherford and Sweet are both going to pick up a technical for the contact after the play. There's going to be offsetting.
Okay. Now, to continue that thought about the all-academic team, just to be eligible for COSIDA, for the all-academic team, you have to be a starter or an important reserve with at least a 3.3 GPA and have completed one full calendar year at your particular institution. You also must have participated in at least half of the team's games at the position that you're listed at playing. So, again, that's what I was just saying a moment ago. You have to be good in the classroom. You have to be good in your respective sport. Jasinski is one of the 2 from the GNAC who have raised to the COSIDA level, the all-district team this year. So congratulations to him. Leif Anderson has come back in. Minnis is checked out. And there's the guy we were just talking about. I think that Schilder. Was that Schilder? No, that was Jasinski. Pass off to Rutherford. He went down the lane and got fouled by Howard.
Howard very upset about the foul call. Thought he had a jump ball. Thought he locked him up. But it must have been a little bit of contact outside of the basketball. As
well, let's take a peek here. Here's a pass off. Well, I think he got him across the arm.
Yeah, it looked like he got the left hand. Yeah.
I think that's a good call. And here's Rutherford now to the free throw line. In the starting lineup today, misses the first free throw as he is in place. And we talked about this. This was a surprise to us. Jalen Green with an injured wrist that he has been playing with, but the wrist has hurt so much that he is out today and maybe out for the tournament, though they do hope to have him back at least in time for the West Regional if the Vikings are fortunate enough, and I think they're probably just pretty close to punching their ticket to it already. 30-26. Howard lost the ball down low, came up loose, and Rutherford comes away with it. So Rutherford in the starting lineup today. Now, he played in 28 games this year and started 5, and he has played well, including that couple of plays here today, including that dunk on the fast break. That was impressive. Here's Jasinski. Handoff. Rojas coming around the outside, and a foul called on Schilder, or make that Jasinski for setting the illegal screen. So Trevor Jasinski picks up foul number 1. That is the 8th team foul, so both teams with now 8 on the board. And for the Nanuks, Huerta, forecourt. Shabazz and Seacrest on him defensively. Shabazz between the legs, dribble, crossover dribble, quick step, fall away jump shot, good.
Now, Western Washington head coach Tony Dominguez very upset with R.J. Seacrest on that last play. He got the screen on the far side like he wanted and didn't execute after. It ended up in a broken play, an illegal screen, and going the other way.
Anderson way outside. Maybe thought about this shot, but got it to Rojas. Sion going, passing. Jasinski taking it and going for the dunk, and well, he just kind of slipped off his fingertips, and then the rebound taken by one of the smallest guys on the court, the smallest right now, and Huerta is fouled. And we will walk down to the other end now and shoot a couple of free throws. The foul call on Rutherford is his second. He'll go to the bench as Lovelady will return. Now you see Rutherford there, and Huerta got bumped a little bit.
And that's one they've been calling all game. If you get on the baseline, some guys like to get physical, give them a little bump out. Some refs will let it go, but this crew has been pretty consistent about not letting that happen in this game.
Huerta, 74% free throw shooter this year, knocks in the first. Look at the score.
After the first 3 minutes, very surprising to see this.
Again, a 7-0 run for the Vikings right out of the gate. But the Nanuks, again, they have hung tough, and they are now in a tie.
The most incredible thing is Alaska out-rebounding Western Washington right now, 15-10, including a 4-2 advantage on the offensive rebounds.
I'll tell you one thing. You would have got long odds on that if you were a betting man earlier today. And here's the entry pass. Boy, oh boy, the ball was skipped in and a foul called. And the foul is going to be called against who? Is it Huerta? Yeah. So the foul is going to send R.J. Seacrest now to the free throw line. First time he's had the opportunity to step up to the stripe today. 79% free throw shooter. And he shows why right there. So the Vikings regain the lead. And, well, with the foul there, Huerta will now check out. As coming back in, Marcus Lee. And here's Logan Schilder back in. Kachijani's on the floor already. So, or actually, Jasinski, I should say, comes back in.
That's the first time in 3 trips to the line that we've seen Western Washington go 2 of 2. They're 4-6 at the line right now. Fairbanks still a perfect 5 of 5.
Shabazz with the basketball. Long 3 for the lead. Comes up short and it hit the end line. Didn't draw any iron. And Shabazz looks over at his bench, points at himself and says, that was my bad. Seacrest quickly into the forecourt. Ball knocked away. Comes up loose, and somehow, nice job by Jasinski. Gets it to Lovelady. He'll be called for steps. That was a good play by Jasinski. He made a great pass. Lovelady just didn't catch it cleanly, shuffled the feet, and tough break for the young man.
Yeah, if you're Lovelady, not a lot you can do about that if you don't get it cleanly because you're not able to put it on the floor.
Nope.
He's just trying to handle the basketball, can't get it cleanly, and turns into 3 steps in the paint.
Final minute of this first half of play. Halftime tonight, Steve Card, Western Washington University Athletic Director, is going to be able to stop by for a quick chat about Viking athletics. And a near turnover there, but back to Shabazz. Off right, shoots the 3, and he's called for steps. I'll be honest, I didn't see that, but he went to the far side of the floor and tried to gather himself for a long-range 3. And Greg Sparling going to call a 30-second timeout right here. So both teams going to their respective benches. If I have a moment here, I want to give a shout-out to my friend Sean Wally from Vikings TV. You know who Sean is up there at Western Washington and Bellingham. He joined us from the broadcast last year. Sure. He's down broadcasting from the state tournament this year. It was so interesting because last year when I was up in Bellingham, I was, getting ready for surgery for a torn Achilles, partially torn. Right after the tournament, Sean let me know that he tore his Achilles after that entirely. He had to go in and have surgery. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can win a lot of bar bets if you say, what do Sean Wally, Rob Lowry, and Kevin Durant have in common? Torn Achilles, same year. That'll win you some cash right there. So, Sean, I hope you're able to watch your Vikings here today from Brougham Pavilion. So what I'm telling you, my friend Dustin, is you watch.
I shall be wearing my ankle-high boots for extra support.
You better. And here down low, Jasinski had the ball knocked away, and that foul called. So Jasinski got fouled. The ball got loose. It was going to be a bucket for the Vikings right there, as it was Lovelady who was going to be able to put it in easily, but Jasinski was fouled as the entry pass went into him. So with 32.7 seconds, Trevor Jasinski going to try to give the Vikings a little more breathing room here as he shoots 2 from the line and he hits the first. He's quick, he's fast, but he is so smooth. I think he maybe lulls you into a false sense that he is not.
You know, he's a guy that the game comes so easy to him that he makes it look easy out there. On defense, he doesn't have that high energy look like guys like Tyler Brimhall have. Right. You see the exertion from a guy like Brimhall. For Jasinski, I think because you can tell that he's such a good player, but you don't see the effort. It's a telltale sign that's a kid that has potential at the next level if he went to go play internationally.
Summerfield going to take a long 3, and he'll hit it with 3 seconds left in the first half. Rojas down floor, lost the basketball as he and Shabazz bumped into each other, and we have a 1-point game at the half. It is Western Washington 34 and the University of Alaska Fairbanks 33 at the break. 20 minutes of great basketball still ahead. Next, we're going to step aside for a moment. We'll have the opportunity to talk to Steve Card. Dustin's going to have first half numbers for you as well during our halftime report. It's just a joy to be able to be bringing you the 2020 Men's and Women's GNAC Men's Basketball Tournament from Brougham Pavilion right here on GNAC.TV. Well, welcome back to Brougham Pavilion. Robert Lowry, Dustin Daniel for the GNAC Championships. First men's semifinal. We're getting close to second half play. First half numbers. Dustin, you've been able to look those over. And we've got some interesting first half numbers here that I'm not so sure we would have expected.
Yeah, the big ones that we've talked about throughout the first half, points in the paint were locked up 12-12, and rebounding. Alaska Fairbanks was the worst team in the conference this season in rebounding. They weren't even averaging 30 a game, and the rebounding margin was almost -7, yet against a team way bigger than they are. They have a 15-12 rebounding margin advantage in this game, including 4 offensive boards to just the 3 of Western Washington. Those are the big ones.
Let me ask you this question before you before you get to some more numbers, but I want to ask you, do you think that's something that Tony Dominguez might have addressed in the locker room at halftime?
I would say so.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things he certainly needed to get to, and that would definitely be one of them. Shooting-wise, we're looking pretty good on both sides. Alaska shooting 46% right now. Western Washington shooting 48%. Vikings not terribly productive from the outside, 4 of 11 from three-point range right now, but that does include Trevor Jasinski going 3 of 4 on the perimeter. He's got 14 points to lead all scorers in this game, and that's actually his season average in scoring right now. Jasinski's right on it. Another one to look at, despite going down with that injury, which actually looked like it was going to be a little bit more serious, Shadid Shabazz actually still played 17 minutes of that first half of play. So looking to the second half, adjustments for the Vikings. Crash the boards a little bit harder, take advantage of their size. Don't let the little guys get to those offensive rebounds. We saw a couple of times that the point guards for the Nooks, they were able to penetrate and get on the boards, take them away from the Vikings. If you're on the other side for Alaska Fairbanks, keep that shooting hot. They're shooting very well in this game. They're 4 of 7 from three-point range right now. That's good for 57%. And be able to distribute on the outside. And hopefully Spencer Sweet can stay hot for them. Those are the big things looking forward to the second half of this basketball game.
Yeah, Sweet doing a nice job in the contest, being a little more offensive-minded today, maybe by design. Yesterday he was a little more hesitant to shoot in the first half, but today he's been a little more offensive-minded to help out his buddy Shadid Shabazz, who had that 42-point outburst explosion yesterday. And as you pointed out in the first half, all-time GNAC single-season scoring leader now with at least 20 more minutes to play this season. And, again, who knows what's going to happen next year for Mr. Shadid Shabazz. And, again, Western, if you're just joining us, they're without one of their key performers today, Jalen Green. And you can see him. He is out on the court. There he is right there as he flashed through the screen momentarily. Bad wrist that has just been troubling him, and I asked a number of the Western folks, and I said, what did he do? And quite frankly, neither Jalen nor anybody around Western seems to understand what happened. It was just a wrist that just started to hurt. He's had a wrap on. You can see him out there. He's running around, but you can see that wrap on the right wrist right there, and that's what's preventing him from playing today. Now, if the Vikings do advance to tomorrow night's championship game, there's maybe an outside chance that he will be able to go. The Vikings certainly are hopeful that if they move on and are able to compete in the West Regional, that he will be able to be fully or at least recovered enough to play in that event. That will be coming up soon. Selection show coming up this weekend, too, by the way, and that is always an exciting night.
Yeah, and on both sides, both the men's and women's side in the West Regional, a lot of questions coming out of these GNAC championships. So there's going to be 4 or 5 teams from both sides from the GNAC hoping that they might be able to sneak in one of those last spots.
We have seen how good they are, but how much would the people in the CCAA and the Pac West be surprised if University of Alaska Fairbanks becomes the league champs? Down low, Jasinski in the lane, and, well, Shabazz going to be guilty of the foul there. Second foul. Now, remember yesterday he fouled out. That's his second foul, so, but again, I don't think he's going to be, and it quickly inbounds, and that's a nice inbound speed, and Jasinski quickly went glass for the lay-in.
And we do have a little bit of foul trouble coming into the second half of play. D'Angelo Minnis has 3 for Western Washington, and Spencer Sweet with 3 on the other side for Alaska.
Sweet handles, goes down low to catch Johnny in the now deep right corner. Back out to Shabazz. Weaves, shoots and misses, goes after his own rebound, tipped, but coming out of there with it, the guy you just talked about, Minnis. Forecourt, right side. Down low to Schilder. Going to back down. He spun to the baseline before, and he does again and lays it in again. Well, I don't want to say it's patented necessarily, but that certainly is a very significant move in Schilder's game, and he scored on it a couple of times here today. Sweet. And Huerta playing a catch across the top. Now up on the right angle to Shabazz. Back in. Now, after a long sit down the first half, Doherty the starting five on the floor for both teams. Huerta casts off on a long three, misses it. And the Vikings, as they did in the first half, pushing out a little bit of a lead, out to 5. They ran off the first 7 points of the contest here this afternoon. Menace, spin dribble, goes back door. Boy, I tell you, there is Shabazz with the steal. Quick handed it away. Down floor, off right, sweeps 3. Front rims, no good. Long rebound taken down, and Jasinski going to bring it into the forecourt. Crossover step, spin. Pass out, Rojas. Near side, Menace. Looking down low to Rutherford, gets it to him to Schilder, puts it down with the left hand.
Well, 2 quick buckets for Logan Schilder. Only 6 in the game now for him. Average is just a little under 10 a night.
And the Nanooks decide to call a quick timeout here as once again, just like at the beginning of the game, they've dropped behind by 7. There's the inbound to Rutherford. And I'll tell you one thing, Schilder will get the bucket, but Rutherford is going to get a very big assist right there because that was a big pass across the baseline by the big fella. Well, it is a 7-point lead here. We're going to be back with more at the 2020 GNAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships after this on GNAC.TV.
Baseball for me just kind of was the glue that kept my family together. I feel like I was able to come here and get my triple major as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
As we return to Brougham Pavilion, there's a look at the Western Washington University bench. That 21 right there is Luke Lovelady. Tony Dominguez, he's in the midst of the scrum, designing a play. Western on top by 7. And we're 2 minutes and 10 seconds deep into the second half. And as we saw all day yesterday, it's not how you start a half, it's how you finish a half.
Yeah, this was an Alaska team that trailed by 15 points early on in the second half yesterday. I don't want to say they're comfortable playing from behind because no team wants to be in that spot, but they're certainly used to it by now. So if they're down in that 10, 12-point range, which right now with the way Western Washington has started the second half doesn't seem out of the question, the Nooks certainly equipped to be able to come back from that.
Huerta, the point guard with the basketball. Right now they've got Jasinski on Shabazz. That's a little bit of a surprise. And Shadid steps, spins, out high to sweep. Boy, nearly pulled the pivot foot there. Gets it back to Shabazz, penetrates inside, up and under, lays it in. With 1 on the shot clock. 1 on the shot clock.
And don't think for a second he didn't know exactly where that shot clock was at.
And here's a shot on the outside, an offensive foul and an illegal screen set by Logan Schilder. Menace popped around the screen, but Schilder apparently was moving. Let's take a peek right here on the last Shabazz basket up. And look at how he extended that left arm so far to elude Schilder and get it off the window.
And that's the difference between Shadid Shabazz and the rest of this conference. This is why he's an elite scorer. He makes that step to the left instead of trying to body through the defender. He's thinking 2 steps ahead instead of just 1.
Huerta on the baseline, and he gets a second bucket that cuts it back to a 3-point game. So Menace into the forecourt. Are the Nanooks going to stay man, or are they going to go zone here? They're looking like a 2. Yep, they're going to go into a little bit of a 2-3 zone. Interesting that Coach Sparling, who doesn't like to play zone much, gets a steal out of it right there. Shabazz, long 3, good. Tied at 40.
That's a 7-0 run very quickly for the Nanooks.
And here is a near steal at midcourt by Shabazz. They work a near side. Jasinski for 3, good. Well, I tell you, that is a huge answer, and Tony Dominguez is going to call a timeout here as well. Both coaches saying, well, you can't take them into the next game, so let's use them up right here. Timeout for the Vikes. It is going to be a timeout on the floor as you see that last basket by Trevor Jasinski as we go to break here at the 2020 GNAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships on GNAC.TV. Here's that last basket by Alaska Fairbanks. The pull-up long three by Shadid Shabazz. How many points does he have now?
At this point, 17 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 3 from deep.
42 yesterday, so not on that pace here today, but Nanoks right now with the basketball. Shabazz at 6'1", guarded by Jasinski at a listed 6'8". The preseason player of the year and the postseason, or actually the end of the season player of the year. One-on-one right here, out high left. Johnny gets the pass. Looks for Cutters. He's going to move down, go with a jump hook off the window for two. Boy, that was a nice move by the big fella there.
We haven't seen Johnny put up a post move like that. And this is going to be some rare time where we see him on the floor without Logan Schilder, as Tony Dominguez has liked that matchup. So Johnny getting the matchup with Rutherford instead.
Rojas out high, double team comes in this 2-3 zone. They work it down low to Lovelady. Moves in the lane, and he'll be called for steps, I believe. No, 3 seconds in the key. So the Vikings turn it over, and the Nanoks looking to resume the lead. And quickly off the bench, it's going to be Leif Anderson for Rojas, and Schilder returns for Rutherford.
Well, we saw 8 minutes of work out of Anderson in the first half. This will be his first shift of the second half. But
I thought he played well.
Yeah, those 8 minutes, he did really well.
Shabazz going to penetrate, go underneath with the left hand again, and the Nanoks have regained the lead at 44-43. That was the same move we saw, about a minute and a half ago?
Yeah, this is actually, in fact, the first time that Alaska has held an advantage in this game.
Well, they don't for long, as the offensive rebound put back by Lovelady will count, and he'll go to the free throw line on the foul. So they led for
15
seconds. Yeah. And you can see Lovelady. Boy, that was a nice job there as he caught it. He gathered himself. He gave just enough of a head and shoulders fake to get the defenders in the air, and the foul was called. And actually, that foul was called against Spencer Sweet. And that is his fourth. Wow. That is a big development there at the 15:04 mark was Sweet and 4 fouls. Now he
Sparling
stays on the floor.
Table, yeah.
Sweet on the near side, guarded by Anderson. Now to Shadid Shabazz. Howard is off the bench now. He'll be coming in momentarily, I got to believe. And here is a foul outside, Jasinski on Shabazz. I'll tell you, if you're Tony Dominguez, you're showing a lot of confidence in Jasinski, putting him on Shabazz. And now Sweet checks out. We'll see how long he stays on the bench. So Keyshawn Howard back in. And he makes the inbounds pass.
A great matchup to see would be Seattle Pacific, Alaska Fairbanks for the championship. Defensive player of the year, Harry Cavill against Shadid Shabazz.
Wow, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? And here is Shabazz. He's going to be called for steps. I think he knows it, too. You see him hopping there in the corner. So the turnover back to the Vikings, who lead it by a pair. Well, maybe he's not so convinced that he traveled.
Yeah, he had a lot of words for Doug Sturtevant on that trip down the floor.
Menace into the forecourt. Jasinski far side against this 2-3 zone by the Nanoks. Greg Sparling right now might be playing – well, actually, you're going to see a kick-out pass quickly around the perimeter as they have gone back to man-to-man. Anderson in the lane. Jasinski near side. Gets a look at a three and hits.
Trevor Jasinski just not cooling off from downtown. 5 of 7 beyond the arc. He's got 22 points. That leads all scorers.
Huerta, near side guarded by Anderson, takes him off the bounce towards the baseline. Not going to bring it back out high. To the left side, it goes to Shabazz. Drive inside, lays it up, and he gets fouled. He put it high up. Somebody, I think, got a little bit of his hand, possibly. He'll go to the free throw line to shoot a pair. The foul against the Vikings is on shoulder. Now, here's what happened. Look, he got by Jasinski, went inside. Look how high he put it away. I mean, that was halfway between the top of the square and the top of the backboard. He hits a free throw.
He knew he had the big fella, Logan Schilder, coming at him, so he's going to have some extra clearance to get it past him.
And the foul on Schilder puts the southpaw to the free throw line, and he calmly knocks down 2. 3-point game. And Minnis will bring it back the other way. Really solid young guard is Minnis. They really like him here in Bellingham, we should say. Around the outside, Jasinski, guarded by Shabazz. Now back to Minnis. Now they get back into the defensive alignment they want. Minnis around his screen, head of the key, shoots and hits a 3. The Vikings have had some big threes here in the last couple of minutes.
They're 3 of 4 from deep in the second half as a team. That's been a big start shooting-wise. 57.6% from the field for Western Washington after the break.
Howard to catch Johnny mid-floor. Now to Huerta. Going to go inside, follow a jumper, bounce off the rim, and Schilder is able to box out and come down with a rebound. Minnis on the fly up the far side of the floor. Down low. Inside, Lovelady misses the shot. Catch Johnny clears. And off to Shabazz, and Shadid will bring it forward court. Behind the back a couple of times. Now going to scoop, take it baseline, follow a jump shot. Tipped out, and Minnis on the one-on-one. Back the other way with Huerta. And he'll slow it down. Really no number advantage there, and that's the smart thing to do for Minnis. And again, just a redshirt freshman, but plays more like a senior as he shoots another 3, and this one's no good. Catch Johnny yet another rebound. He's done a nice job on the glass today for the Nanooks, and as you mentioned, they had been out rebounding the Vikings for most of the game.
That'll be his 9th board of this game. 4 points, 9 rebounds in 22 minutes. And he's already getting into that territory of what he's played lately as far as minutes per game. He knew he was going to have to put a little bit more on the floor just given the size of Logan Schilder, and that was going to be his matchup and his matchup alone.
Shabazz had the ball knocked away from him. 2-on-1 back the other way, and Jasinski with a pull-up air ball. And their rebound out of bounds, and it went either off a Viking or it went out of bounds. So the ball will go back to the University of Alaska Fairbanks, trailing it by 6, but not before we take a quick stoppage in play. You can see there's Anderson with the pass and Jasinski with that last 3 ball on the outside as we go to break. It is the 2020 Men's Semifinals, Game 1 here on GNAC.TV. Shadid Shabazz there on one of his buckets today with a left-handed scoop shot. Do you think he's next level?
I think so.
Yeah.
He certainly has a future in European ball.
I don't think there's any question about that either. Markel Banks has come back in for the Nanooks, and that is Markel with the basketball there. Guarded by Lovelady. Gets it to Shabazz. Moves in. Free throw pop. Comes up short. And a rebounding foul on the inside. Banks is going to pick up the foul there. Trying to scrap for the basketball. There's a good look at Markel as he walks back down floor. Markel, another one of the youngsters on the team. Junior. He'll be back next year. Matter of fact, Jalen McCullough, Spencer Sweet, Quinn Doherty, the only seniors on this Nanooks squad. Minnis. And boy, I tell you, did we have a great look there on the foul as Huerta got an arm around Minnis. That was a great camera angle. Look at it once again. You can see right there. Boom. Got him right there. And got him there too. So, and he'll go to the bench now because that's his 3rd personal foul. And again, Sweet is on the bench for about the past 3.5 minutes with his 4th personal foul. On the baseline, Lovelady, and he'll be called for steps there. Or actually, I think maybe he hit the end line with his foot. Whatever the case, turnover back to the Nanooks, down by 6.
Yeah, call really could have gone either way as he went sliding across the baseline.
Yeah.
I think it was that back, the right foot caught the back line.
Nanooks with the basketball down floor. Here is Howard. He's going to take it inside, put it up with the left hand. Boy, he came up short. He kind of elevated, I thought, a little bit early there.
He certainly did, but he held his height pretty well to make that layup. For whatever reason, just left it short. Didn't seem like it'd be that tough of a shot, but Howard could not finish at the iron.
Foul against the Nanoks on the rebounding play as well, and that foul is going to go against Doherty. Now that is just his first personal foul. Put the ball back over to the Vikings. And right now, they really have both of their point guards on floor, as R.J. Seacrest and D'Angelo Minnis both on floor. And that's Minnis handling here. Goes out to Seacrest. There's a high pick by Lovelady. Uses it to the near side. Going to take it to the baseline, go inside, missed the shot, and the rebound taken down by Summerfield. Alex, the junior from Federal Way here in Washington, gets it off to Shadid Shabazz.
Western Washington has had a lot of opportunities to really open up this lead through these last 5 or 6 possessions, have not been able to do so.
Boy, nice move by Jasinski. Then he just lost the basketball. Boy, he made a nice step around and then just had the basketball. Sometimes the ball takes a funny bounce. It's round. It's supposed to bounce true every time, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's what happened to Jasinski there for the turnover. Banks forecourt. Markell, nice crossover. Fall away jump shot. Back rims it, no good. And another rebound for Seacrest there. The Vikings guards impressed me because they all, even Minnis, they all go in and rebound. Halfway through the second half, and a baseline jumper on the left side by Seacrest extends the lead out to 8. And the Nanoks needing a bucket.
They're looking for their first field goal since the 15-20 mark. It has been cold after that 7-0 run to get back to even. They have cooled off quite a bit.
Banks with the basketball, hand off to Doherty. Now to Shabazz. Or make that Howard, we should say. Goes inside, ball knocked away from him out of bounds. Nanoks basketball. You got to think at some point, and just 5 on the shot, that maybe a little, and here is Spencer Sweet going to come back in. So he's been on the bench as a 15:04 mark, so he's been out 5.5 minutes roughly. And he's in there with those 4 fouls. He's in there for offensive purposes because he is a very legitimate three-point threat and a scorer. And here's Howard, gets it to Summerfield, and he's going to be called for steps. He got the pass and took the extra step and launched the long three, missed it anyway. Ball back to the Vikings. And you've got to wonder, and I'm going to ask you this question, is fatigue starting to set in for the Nanoks maybe a bit?
I would guess it's got to play a factor, and having played back-to-back games, whereas Western Washington coming in fresh, that's certainly going to make a difference.
Anderson misses a 3. First shot by Leif on the day. Shabazz back the other way. Boy, look at him on the fly. He's going to take it all the way inside. Floater good. Boy, that was a needed basket there by Shadid Shabazz. 9 minutes to go. And Anderson, he was thinking another 3. Instead, he kicks it out to Minnis near side. He'll back it back out. Shabazz on him defensively. Minnis, crossover step, comes around a screen, looks to penetrate, goes inside, lays it up and in. That was just a nice job by Minnis to go inside and use some slippery moves to get to the hoop.
2 defenders around him, still able to find a way to get an open look from the left side.
Doherty off to Howard for the Nanoks. To Sweet, and once again Doherty. Not a big score is Doherty, but valuable beyond there for leadership. The Howard down low, and he'll be called for steps. It looked to me like it was one of those things, as you talked about yesterday, somebody kind of pulled the chair out from underneath him, and he took that extra step.
That's turnover number 12 now on Alaska. 8 of them came in the first half, so they've only committed 4 here in the second half. But at this point, you got to take extremely good care of the basketball, dealing with an 8-point deficit and only 8 minutes left.
Minnis comes to the near side, going to take it all the way underneath the hoop, kick it into the corner. Anderson launches an air ball 3. Rebound inside. Lovelady has it. Ball stripped away from him. Loose on the floor. Picked up by Shabazz. Knocked away from him. Down low, Lovelady. Layup. Good. Well, a scramble play there goes to the Vikings. Banks back the other way, put it up in traffic. Good, it'll count it. He got fouled. Might be on Jasinski or Lovelady. Not sure. Both of them were there. Or is it? Where are they going to? They're going to count the basket. And the foul going to be called against the Vikings. Here's that last Vikings basket there a minute ago by Menace as he went up and under on Summerfield. That was a very impressive play by him. 7:42 to go. Timeout on the floor. We'll step aside as well. Back to take you down the stretch in this men's semifinal action on GNAC.TV. There's that last play, kind of that scramble play where Shabazz had it for a moment, lost it. And Lovelady was the guy who was the recipient of the basketball, the putback in the bucket. 58-50, 7:42 left. Anderson, Seacrest, Jasinski, Lovelady, and Minnis on floor. That's the Vikings 5 for their head coach, Tony Dominguez, who you see right there. At the free throw line, Markel Banks, Spencer Sweet, Shadid Shabazz, Alex Summerfield, and Quinn Doherty, the others on the floor as Banks hits the free throw.
Interesting statistical note that we haven't touched on yet in this game. Alaska's only got 3 assists in this one. 11-3 the assist advantage for the Vikings.
Menace casts off on a 3, rebound tipped out, went off a hand. I'm not sure if it was a Viking or a Nanook who touched it, but went out, and the Vikings get another possession here. Seacrest in the left corner. They work it across the top. Jasinski looks to attack, lost the basketball, picks it back up, kicks it into the corner, and a shot blocked there. Boy, I tell you, nice job as Menace went for the shot, and Shabazz blocks it out of bounds. Now the shot clock is only at 3, and Tony Dominguez certainly making sure his Viking players understand that they got to get something up here relatively quickly. Inbounds, Jasinski says, I can do it. He shoots the 3 and rims in and out, and Doherty comes down with a rebound for the Nanooks. Forecourt, Shabazz. Crossover off left, Summerfield. Gets it back to Shadid. 7-point contest.
This is the part of the game where Shabazz starts to lock in, likes to go with that ISO, maybe get a high screen and drive.
Well, how about just that instead? Why don't you just do that? Just go inside and just do that.
25 points now for him, 9 of 18 from the field.
And that's just a day at the office. Anderson going to cast off on the 3. Boy, he had a good look there, but Banks doing a nice job to go up and snatch the rebound. And boy, he brings it all the way himself. Nobody challenges him. He puts it up and misses it. Foul going to be called, though, and Banks going to go to the free throw line to shoot a couple more here. So Markel Banks on the year, averages 7.7 points. There is the penetration, and that right there was a little bit, and again, Lovelady just lost his footing and went down and kind of got Banks by the knee. Those are the kind of plays you always worry just a little bit about.
Yeah.
Markel free throw, good. Banks at the free throw line this year, 82%er for a team that shot 77% from the line during the regular season. Jasinski and Lovelady going to check out as Rutherford returns, and also Rojas. Banks' second one, well, not clean, but good. Back to a 3-point game.
Anytime you get your legs taken out, it's always a dangerous spot,
but
especially when it's from the back and you don't have the chance to catch yourself.
Rojas, Seacrest, Rutherford, and fouled by Summerfield. So Cameron Rutherford in the starting lineup today, and here is the entry pass. You can see it. Boy, he just got Summerfield on his hip, and he went to work right away. Couple-inch height advantage for Rutherford there, who's in the starting lineup in place of the injured Jalen Green today for the Vikings. And here is Rutherford, and he gets a free throw. Rutherford, 6'9". But I tell you, he's got some very, very. He's got a lot of athleticism to his game as he hits both right there. He plays inside, but he has the quickness to play outside as well if they have the big 7-footer shoulder in. They're teaming with him at any one time. Here is Shabazz. Goes inside. Just do that thing. Just do it again. I would love to coach that kid. I say, hey, here's the basketball. Just do that thing you do.
We'll put 4 guys on the outside. You have a good time.
And here, back the other way, well, Rutherford makes his presence known as he gets a big offensive rebound there in this 3-point game. And the Vikings going to back it out and slow it down here and look for a good possession. Minnis, no, he says he'll attack, throw it up, miss the shot, foul called. And the official goes down. He and Minnis tangle up, and you forget about the fact that these officials, there's no timeouts for these officials in terms of somebody coming in to relieve them. And here is the play there, as you can see. And, well, Minnis, I think, was trying to help the official, Justin Shamian, right there, and actually kind of tripped him up. But the foul called. And at the free throw line, Minnis. Now, that foul against Alaska Fairbanks was called on Quinn Doherty, but just his second. However, 7th team. So now the Vikings going to head to the free throw line on the season. Western Washington University, pretty good free throw shooting team. Very solid, 75% as a team. That's pretty good. Next one also good. When you look at free throw percentages, it's kind of in the mid-pack at 6th, but it's still, I think, 75%. That's 3 out of 4. You can count on that.
Yeah, only 2 teams this year were able to shoot better than 80% from the free throw line. So, yeah, 75%. Perfectly respectable number.
Shabazz, long one, good. Well, if you can come up with a defense against him, and I think you're right, if it gets to Harry Cavill, boy, that'll be an interesting matchup, but we're not there yet. Minnis with a great pass to Rutherford, who lays it in. I thought Minnis was going to shoot. I don't even know how he knew where Rutherford was. He somehow managed to get him the basketball, and the Vikings back on top by 5 inside the final 5.
This Western Washington team very adept at finding the trailer. And we've seen that on a couple of occasions here in the second half.
That time, shot missed, rebound. Is it a foul call? Might have been a foul against who? The Vikings? Or against the Nanuks? Here is Minnis on that last play. He did about a 360 to find Rutherford coming from behind him. That was an amazing play.
I think it was just a straight out of bounds, no foul call.
Okay. Well, now we're going to have a foul called. And the foul, I think it's going to be on Rutherford. It is his 3rd. One of the seniors on this Viking team, Leif Anderson, Tucker Enigunberg, also seniors on this squad, and Rojas. So the Vikings a little more senior laden. Schilder, of course, also a senior, as is Jasinski. And here is Shabazz, splits, goes, shot, blocked. That time, it was Jasinski who got the best of the matchup and got the shot blocked. 4:20 left in the game as Minnis brings it down floor, and Huerta on him defensively. Around his screen. And Minnis puts it up, misses the shot, but Huerta picks up the foul. And that'll send Minnis back to the free throw line.
Vikings' best shot blocking team in the conference, and Jasinski showing it with the 4th team block on the other end.
So at the free throw line, Minnis, who's had a good game today as the floor general for the Vikings, as he and Seacrest forming a pretty good backcourt here, and Minnis hits yet another free throw. Good free throw shooter on the year, good free throw shooter here this afternoon. Throughout the course of the campaign, Minnis from the free throw line connected on a 91% clip. So I guess if you get in a free throw shooting contest, he's the guy you don't want at the line. And now the lead is 7 once again. So if you're in Nanook, I guess you got him right where you want him. That's the way it seemed yesterday. Spencer Sweet, he's been in playing with 4 fouls, but he hasn't been looking much for his shot. He may need to look for some of those threes here in the late going. Huerta, same thing. He can hit the long ranger. Comes near side, has a 6'9" Rutherford on him. Moves, leaves behind him for Banks. He'll fall away, hit the jumper. No, it's going to be missed. Boy, that rimmed in and out. That was a heartbreaking shot there for Markel Banks. Tony Dominguez telling his team to, well, here is Menace. He's going to go to work and going to take it towards the baseline. Now circle back out. And the Vikings right now, I think, quite frankly, the clock is their friend. Rojas with the basketball. Off to Jasinski. He'll attack. Put up a runner in the lane. Good.
Yeah, at this point, if you're the Vikings, run that clock.
Yeah.
Drain out your shot clock as much as you can, because every second you have the basketball, that's another second that Shadid Shabazz can't make a quick trip to the hoop.
Again, these teams split during the regular season. The Vikings winning in Fairbanks and the Nanuks winning in Bellingham for Coach Greg Sparling's 400th career victory. And you can hear the Vikings. And here is Shabazz, three, way offline. Pretty good defense here by Seacrest. And Tony Dominguez once again off the bench saying slow it down inside the final 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the game. And the Vikings up by 9. Menace guarded by Sweet. Off near side. Work it back to Menace behind the back. Kick it off to Rojas. Penetrates, and he is fouled by Banks. So Sion Rojas going to go to the free throw line on the foul situation, but he won't get there until we have a stoppage in play. Well, we're inside the final 2.5 of this one. It is Vikings, the second seed, looking to try to advance over the number 6 seeded University of Alaska Fairbanks to tomorrow night's championship contest. We'll see if they can do it when we return here on GNAC.TV. Royal Brougham Pavilion in Seattle. If you don't know where we're located, if you know where the Space Needle is, we're kind of a stone. If you're on the top of the Space Needle, you probably get a better arm than I. You could probably hit Seattle Pacific with a rock. Here is Sihan Rojas. First of the 1-and-1 on the 19th foul. He knocks it in, and boy, it's up to a 10-point lead for the Vikings here.
Well, the story of the game in the first half was the ability of Alaska to out-rebound Western Washington. In the second half, Vikings certainly made that adjustment. 18-7, their advantage on the boards.
Well, and you said at halftime that they probably addressed that at the break, and more out of necessity than design. And here is Shabazz. Sweet. He launches a long three. Missed it. Banks can't get the rebound. And Rutherford comes up with it. And with an 11-point lead now, Vikings bring it into the forecourt, and Banks going to be called for a reach-in foul against Rojas.
That's going to put Western Washington into double bonus now, as that'll be the 10th Nanooks foul. And this was a trip down the floor where Alaska needed a stop. They needed a quick one, and they needed to get a quick bucket because we're at 2 minutes and an 11-point deficit. Can't afford to be sending him to the free throw line. But
if you're going to send anybody up there, Rojas is the guy, because on the year just a 64%er. But boy, he has been money here when needed down the stretch.
3 of 3 in this game.
Yeah.
As a team, Vikings 16 of 18 at the line, 89%.
Well, he knocks them both down. Again, sometimes the guys with a high percentage, low percentage, just down the stretch, very important. Here is Sweet inside, lays it up, missed the shot, and Rojas came down with a big rebound. He'll come out of backcourt. Well, Shabazz cuts him off. Now off to Menace. A minute 45 left to go, and it looks like the Cinderella run for the University of Alaska Fairbanks Nanooks will come to an end here today. But boy, oh boy, we have seen a couple of great games. And Western Washington, the number 2 seed. Here is Menace. He'll penetrate, lose the basketball, but gets fouled. And it looks like they will be able to advance to tomorrow night's men's championship contest. That foul, by the way, called on Huerta, and that is his 5th personal foul. And now Greg Sparling going to filter in the bench. Coming in, Zach Hatch. He'll come back in. Also, Marcus Lee returning. And Shadid Shabazz stays on floor along with Summerfield and Huerta. Or I should say, first free throw up and good. Doherty, yeah. Menace hits that free throw, and that in all respects will probably do it here. Second one no good, and Doherty comes down with a rebound. Lee, just a freshman. He'll be back next year. Around a high pick. Rutherford picks him up. Lob it off to Shabazz. Shadid going to work. Look at the split. The defense goes inside. Up and under. No good. Missed the shot. He made a lot of those early in this half, but boy, that one just rimmed in and out. Down floor. Jasinski, who has been a great player today, loses the basketball, but gets it to Rutherford on the pass by, well, that was a look what I found pass right there. And Rutherford comes down with a steal. Seacrest got the loose ball, threw it up to the hoop, and Rutherford knew what to do with it. 75-59, so a 16-point lead with 47.9 and a foul called. You can see it right there. Ball got loose, and look at just throw it up to the hoop and let the big fella go up and get it and put it down with authority. Menace to the stripe as he was fouled there. Misses the free throw. That foul was on Jalen McCullough, who has come in too for the Nanuks. Or actually, no, it was on Shadid Shabazz, who now checks out. Shadid Shabazz checking out of today's contest. I tell you, you can't fault that young man. 36 minutes of play again today. 11 of 24 from the field, 2 of 4 on threes, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. What a game for Shabazz again. Here is Lee, lost the basketball. Jasinski stole it away, or thought he did. So 29 for Shadid Shabazz. Coming off the 42 yesterday. So what do you got here? That's 71 points in 2 games. Wow. Lee at the free throw line for the Nanuks out of Ketchikan High School, and he hits the first of the 1-and-1 as that was the 7th team foul on the Vikings. We have sent Dustin Daniel down to the baseline area, our interview area, where he will talk to the Victoria's head coach, Tony Dominguez, here in just a few minutes. Lee hits them both. This final score, it's going to look overwhelming, but boy, this game is a lot closer than this final score would indicate. And the Vikings have shown why they're the number 2 team. They get it off to Seacrest. Circles underneath the hoop with 28 seconds left. There's about a 10-second differential on the shot and game clock. And this was the kind of game we expected. The Vikings just going to allow the shot clock to expire here with about 9 seconds left. And it'll be the basketball over to the Nanuks. You can see some of the Western faithful there on our telecast. And Lee going to bring it down floor, and we'll see if they even take a shot. Is he going to fire one? Yeah, he'll fire a 3 at the buzzer, and it'll drop through. And that'll make the final count tonight. 76. There's still, well, now the final buzzer sounds. 76-64. Western Washington with the victory today, 76-64. So the second-seeded Vikings now will advance to tomorrow night's 5 o'clock championship game to take on the winner of the second men's action here today. That'll follow here shortly between Northwest Nazarene, or I should say between Seattle Pacific and the University of Alaska Anchorage, which knocked off Northwest Nazarene 85-76 yesterday. So University of Alaska Anchorage is the 5th seed against the top-seeded Seattle Pacific University Falcons in a game that's going to come up here in about 20-25 minutes or so. So it is going to be the Vikings, the number 2 seed, and there's a good look at Logan Schilder, Quinn Doherty for the Nanuks, and Leif Anderson all there. And that's good sportsmanship. And now let's send it down courtside to Dustin and the victorious Tony Dominguez.
Thanks, Rob. We've got Western Washington head coach Tony Dominguez with us. Coach, you win the first semifinal of the day. Tough-fought battle with the Nanooks. They got you in Bellingham just a few weeks ago. You knew it was going to be a hard-fought one here today, and this one was no different. Final score doesn't really show the competition in this game.
No, they played really good this last month of the season. Obviously, Shadid's a great player, and Sparling's a very, very good coach, so we knew it was going to be a battle, and our guys stepped up in the second half. We kind of we did all right in the first half, but I thought our second half really fueled us.
You got to watch him play yesterday. You knew that Shabazz is always going to be a handful. How do you prepare for a player like that and his scoring ability?
Well, you got to do your best, right? He's phenomenal. He's a really good player and a good scorer and ball handler and leader, and so we just wanted to get the ball out of his hands as much as possible. I'm sure, I haven't looked at the stats, I'm sure he's in his 20s or 30s with his points. But you know, you just gotta scheme the best you can and hope for the best.
You were able to spread out the offense. Well, Trevor Jasinski having another good one here today. You haven't had to rely on his offense as much this season. He was averaging 19 last year, only had to average 14 this year. Not because of anything on him, just because you have so many people able to score. With that kind of an offensive threat, is there a team in this conference you can't beat?
I don't know. You know, everyone's good, and this league is so good that you never know night to night. I'm really proud of Trev. You know, everyone's coming at him because of last year, so we had a lot of double teams, and we had a lot of injuries and disjointedness, but I feel like he really stepped it up and has done other things than scoring for us. So just really appreciate him, but all of our guys.
As you prepare for the championship game, any adjustments you'd like to see from your boys before you get ready for tomorrow?
Nope, just be ready for a battle because both teams that are playing now are very, very good, so we got our hands full.
Coach, congratulations and good luck tomorrow night.
Appreciate it.
That's Western Washington head coach Tony Dominguez. Rob, back to you.